Okay, so can you guys see my?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So quickly, identify UI UX designer. I'm also minimalist at heart. And I've been doing UI UX for about 4 or 5 years now. Okay. Here are my links if you want to find out more. Then I'm usually on Twitter. Okay, so if you're trying to catch me on the social media platforms, usually Twitter. Okay, so for the first week, we talked about things you need to have, to learn effectively. Okay, and the first one was for you to have a beginner's mindset, and because as it is, you are learning something you actually don't know, so it's advisable for you to, take things easy. Okay, you didn't start working automatically. Learn how to work, learn how to do all those things. Okay. The second thing was to be focused. Okay. With everything, you need focus, to actually achieve something from it. So it's more or less you setting a particular goal or certain things you want to achieve from the course, and focusing on those things. Then the third thing was determination. So even though you end up learning and or knowledge you get from there, at the end of the day, it's understand that you are at the path. Okay. So you need to be determined, to so you need to be determined to more or less sorry, excuse me, to more or less succeed or excel in this field as well. Because a lot of guys are creative, very creative, so determination is very, very key. So we talked about the tools, what you will need. The hardware tools will be a laptop, okay, because at the end of the day, we're going to design, but because we chose Figma, any laptop will be fine, as long as it has a web browser you can use, okay. Then we said a smartphone is optional, okay, just because of communication, WhatsApp, maybe you want to have Google Classroom on the go. Then last but not least, we said access to power and internet. Okay. So you need some sort of internet connection and power, to use the laptop as well. Okay. But those are the only requirements hardware wise. Then the software tools we are using are Google Classroom. So Google Classroom is where we have everything. So your curriculum is there, study materials are there, links to every tool we discuss are also there, So, and you also have assignments there. Okay. So we started out with the notion of your assignments has a 1 week deadline, but we discovered everyone is busy and all. So the assignments don't really have a deadline now. Okay. It would be nice if you can pull it off in 1 week. It would definitely be nice. But because everyone are just beginners here, okay, you can take your time, but don't stay too long on it, because if you stay too long on it, you tend to just abandon it. Okay. So you have assignments there as well. Each assignment has marks as well. Okay. Then the tool we're using is Figma. Figma is our design tool of choice, because we're going to be doing a lot of live collaboration. So I think that will be next week, Saturday. I think today's ideation. Next week will be okay. That'll be like next week Saturday. We'll actually start using Figma fully. Then Google Docs, just for you to. It's not necessary to use Google Docs. You can always use Microsoft Word. Okay, but that's just so that you can type documents. So for week one, okay, this is the course outline. For week one, we talked about the introduction to design, where we defined what design was, and we talked about what UI and UX was, and then We talked about how to identify good and bad UI, and then we talked on design briefs. Okay, so we define design as a process. Okay, as a problem-solving process. So it's not just about us drawing or painting beautiful pictures. Design is all about us understanding a problem and solving that problem. Okay, so design design encompasses a lot of things. We said design is in everything, and design is everything. Okay, we said your cup, your mug, that's painting on your mug is a design. Okay, your phone is a design. Someone designed the phone. Okay, what is in your phone is also a design. Okay, someone designed those apps you are using. So at the heart of design, we are actually solving problems. Okay, we're not just making things look beautiful. Okay, so we went on to define UI and UX, and we said that UI are the physical elements, or the shapes, the colors, the buttons, that a user would interact with, in your product. Okay, so the UI is more or less how maybe Instagram looks like, or how Facebook looks like. That is the UI. Okay, and we said UX is more or less the experience. Okay, the uh, emotional response, or more or less the feeling a user gets from your product. Okay, and we said when designing for UI means user interface, and UX means user experience. Okay. And we said why designing for UI UX is that the experience already exists. Okay. So why is that? So we said the experience already exists because a user has already been doing something in a particular way. Okay, take Facebook for example. Everyone was already maybe calling, everyone was maybe already texting. Okay, the experience was already existing, the experience of communication was already existing. Okay, so why we do UI UX is to better improve that experience. Okay, you are not designing the experience. Okay, the experience is always there. You are only finding out how to improve that experience. Okay, because before you came along, the user was already surviving. Okay, he was surviving in a way. So why we do UI UX is to look at what has been going on, and more or less how we can improve that experience. So we talked about how to identify good and bad designs, where we talked about the four E's, and the different types of errors that can occur in user experience. It's not easy to use, it's not easy to understand. Okay, maybe there are errors in functionalities. Okay, those are things we discussed on. The video is on the Google Classroom, so you can always watch it. It's much more detailed. And then we talked about bad UI, where we talked about contrast. Okay, contrast is maybe when an element is not appearing clearly as well as it should. So take for example, you're putting a purple text over a gray background. Okay, that's very bad contrast. Maybe your text is too grayed out, so the user has to squint their eyes to see. That's bad contrast. Okay, we talked about inconsistency. Okay, where maybe your button is supposed to be red throughout your website or throughout your app. You decide to put multicolored buttons all over the whole place. That's inconsistency. That's bad UI. Okay. So we went on and we concluded week one on briefs. So we defined a brief as a technical documentation that you would use to, define, what products you are, what design products you are actually creating. So we said in most cases, a brief is, sorry, excuse me, a brief is provided by the client, okay, or the stakeholder, you know. So more or less it's more or less like a document stating, oh, this is the product I'm trying to create, and look at everything that is required from you. Okay. So because we don't have stakeholders or we don't have clients, we went ahead and provided a sample template for you, also in the classroom. And you can use that to come up with your own project. So we concluded the class by giving an assignment on finding out good and bad UIs. Okay, that's not really compulsory to submit, but you get extra marks if you submit that. Then we talked on the second major assignment, which was your design brief. There's a sample as well in the Google Classroom. And the design brief is majorly you thinking of a project or a problem you're trying to solve with design. Okay. Now, we said that project will be what will be with you till the end of this training. Okay. So everything you're going to do in this training will revolve around your own unique project. So that way, you are learning in a unique way. So we said, go ahead, think of a problem using the brief sample, create, what is expected of you and then submit. So that design brief for that problem you're going to solve will be what will be the basis for every decision you will make throughout this, training. So we went to week 2 and we talked on UX roles, research, and need finding. Okay, and we define UX roles as just simply what they are, different positions or different job titles, in the user experience setting. Okay, and we had things like product designer, visual designers, UX unicorns, I think content strategists. So we defined all these things. They are in the video because it's a very extensive topic. So we talked about these different roles, and why we talked about it is because not everyone wants to do UI UX. Okay, some people just want to do UX. Some people just want to do UI. Some people want to specialize even in a particular part in UX. So we explained all these different roles. So at the end of this, training, it's more or less like a boot camp now. At the end of this boot camp, you can now say, oh, this is where I find interesting and this is what I want to do. So just take a look at the video for UX rules. It's much more detailed. And then we talked on research and we talked about the different types of research. We have quantitative and qualitative, where we say quantitative is more or less you asking questions that can be quantified. So if you say, how many people use this product, you ask a question like, do you like this product? Yes, no, maybe. If you send out that survey to multiple people, you can quantify that data by saying, oh, 30 people said yes, 20 people said this, and the likes. We talked on the different types of research, and we said interviews are by far the best because you can get more info from people. So, but in time of COVID, I don't know how interviews will turn out. So we opted for using, Google Forms and the likes. We talked on stakeholders. So we said stakeholders is every individual, every person that, your product will have a direct impact on. Okay. So a stakeholder can be the client who gave you the job. The stakeholder can be, the user who used the application at the end of the day. Stakeholders can be fellow UI UX guys. Stakeholders can also be developers, okay, people who code, you know. Okay, so we also went on to talk on how you can talk with them, but we said most of the times it's better to do a direct interview with your stakeholders. Yeah, all that is solid in the video. Then we talked on need finding, and we said need finding is more or less you now analyzing what you have gotten from your research and using that to base your, to form the basis of your decision. Okay, so it's more or less like I've researched and I've discovered that people are complaining about the colors on the home screen. So you already know one need. Okay, we need to adjust those colors on the home screen. Okay, that's basically need finding. So I think we also talked on the design thinking process. So we talked on it's a 5-stage process that repeats itself. It loops and everything is connected. So we talked on the empathy. We talked on definition. We talked on ideation, and then we talked on prototyping and testing. But we touched them on the surface because this entire course is all about that. So week 2 was more or less on empathy, because empathy is the stage where you try to understand the user. The only way you can understand the user is through research, okay? Through research and need finding, making use of survey tools, research to like interpret. So we went on to week 3, and week 3 was more or less about the definition stage. Okay, so week 3 we talked on personas, we talked on user journeys, user flows, and information. So week 3 was definition. So definition is a stage where you now take that data, that info that you've gotten, okay, from your research, and then you're now creating meaningful decisions around them. Okay, so the first one was personas. So personas are more or less fictitious characters, characters I don't know in real life, but we're using them as a basis for a user for the application. So we give a sample persona as well. All these are in your Google Classroom, okay? And we said why we need personas is because we need to step out of ourselves, okay? Because at the end of the day, designers are selfish people, is a sad thing, but we're selfish people. When we start designing, we design for ourselves. So, and because at the end of the day, design is a problem-solving discipline, and your clients expect something. The design might work for you because you understand it, but it may not work for the actual users of the product. So we create personas so that when we are designing, we can say, oh, so type of person is going to use the product. Okay. So categories of so categories of people are going to use the product. Okay. So we create personas for that sole purpose, you know. There are other benefits because we can also categorize people and say, oh, person. Okay, so we talked on user journeys, and we said user journey is a top level view of, you know, your application or your products. Okay, so we gave an example of Uber. We said an example user journey would be the user picks up his phone, opens the app, requests for a ride, picks a car, agrees to the price, confirms, and then puts his phone down. Okay, that's a summary of what a user would do on your product. Okay, user journeys are a series of steps. Usually 4 to 12, maximum of 12 in most cases, of the top-down, top-level view of how your application will work. Okay, and we said it shouldn't be too complex. It should be something like straightforward. For example, if I mention Instagram to you, the user journey is simple. I like pictures, I comment, I post pictures, and that is about it. That's the user journey. So we talked on user flows, and we said user flows is now more or less, something that is concerned with a specific part within the product. Okay, and we said a flow can be as long as you want. It's not limited to just 4 to 12 steps. But again, we said a flow more or less embedded inside the user journey. So the video is much more detailed because we talked about it fully. We said in most products you only have one user journey, okay, and then you have multiple flows. Okay, a flow can be, for example, uploading pictures on Instagram. What is the flow for that? You say, I click the plus button. So if I select my picture, I select my picture, I select filters, I add my what do they call it now? Description for the picture, okay? All those different things, all those different steps are the user flow because they are concerned about one process, not the entire. Okay? They are concerned about one specific process in the product. The user flow might be your checkout system. Okay, I want to order something from your website. After the entire process, the person fills in his bank or whatever, he fills in shipping address and the likes, and then checks out. Okay, that's a user flow. Okay, instead you can, take time extensively on the user flow because it has to be something the user would flow with, would understand. That's why we call it a flow. Okay, it should be something that is seamless, that is comes like second nature to the user. So we ended with 3 with information architecture. We said information architecture is more or less a blueprint of how you would organize things on your website, okay, or on your app. So we said it's really related to navigation because it deals mostly with navigation. Okay, so we said information architecture will be more or less how you lay out the way that users know where they are, what is around them, what to expect, and where to go from there. So we use the basic example like menu bar on the website where you have home, about, contact us, and like. So that was an example we used. We said good information architecture is about you being like a cartographer. Okay, we said a cartographer is more or less a map maker. Okay, and a map maker has to strip out things that are not important. Because if we said take the actual map of maybe Lagos, okay, and the map is showing every single house in Lagos, you get confused. Okay, so as a cartographer in relation to information, okay, you have to strip out things that are not important. Okay, like you have a website and you know you are required to bring in so much info. It's more about you stating what is most important to the user. Because in the long run, most users don't even care about all the multiple menu items you have on your website. Okay. They are only after the solid information they can get from you and they are out. So we talked about things like using words that are not complex. Okay. We talked about, not arranging things the wrong way. If I'm in the home page, I shouldn't be seeing settings. Settings should be somewhere else. Okay, all those kinds of things is what we call information architecture. And how you can layer and create them. So I think we also gave assignments. This was by far the longest assignment where we said you should create a user journey for your brief. We said you should create a user flow for your brief as well. And we said a minimum of 2 personas for your brief and information architecture. Okay. So I think week 2 also had assignments, I think. Okay, yeah, we said you should, do a research, put out your survey. I think some people in the class already put out their survey. I've seen their questions and they are wonderful, they are well made. So you can use Google Forms and you can always, share with the class and everyone can help you fill as well. Okay. Then we said you should analyze it. So the analysis is straightforward. You can just say, based on my research, this is what I got, this is what I got, which will form the basis of everything you do. I think I've even gone beyond 15 minutes. So this is where we are now. We are in week 4, where we'll talk on ideation, sketching, ideation, then ideation is beyond sketching and wireframing actually, but we're bringing in sketching and wireframing because after you've done all that is the next thing to do. Okay, and this is where we are for now. So we have week 5 where we'll talk on principles. So this will be more or less not really the end of UX, but for what we are doing, this will be like the end. And then week 6 we'll have a live design session with Figma. So yeah, most likely everyone can even join in on the Figma workspace and everyone can work together sort of. Okay. And then everyone will talk on typography, what typefaces are. Week 8 we'll talk on color. So from week 7 the classes may not be that long because they are basic things, just a few things to get to know. Because from week 6 after the design session, you can go ahead and start designing. Okay. Then week 9 would be UI fundamentals. So based on everything you've done, why I like doing UI fundamentals towards the end is because I like people to make some mistakes because you only learn from mistakes, And then when you look at UI fundamentals, where we talk about all the different key coding ratios in design. Okay, you now know, oh, this is where I went wrong with this, and then you know how to make those slight changes in designs. So we talk on UI fundamentals. Then, based on that, we can now come back week 10, and week 10 will now be everyone, fleshing out their design or finalizing on their designs. Okay. Then we will now return to UX towards the end, okay, where we now talk on prototyping and user testing. So prototyping will now be more or less how we create interactions and the likes. Then user testing will show you how to perform user tests, so that you can find out if your product met the actual goal or not. Then with 12, we'll just talk on some basic rules you need to know, and we'll talk on design systems like the material design system or Apple's design system, and some basic rules you need to know when you design for web and mobile. So this is like a straightforward class, and I think you can ask as many questions here based on the design part. Okay, then week 13, which will be the end, will be about building a career. So we'll talk about paths to follow. We'll talk about how you can create your portfolio. We'll talk about how you grow on the job. And any lesson I learned the hard way will be where I'll give some brief talk on things I learned the hard way. So for people who are just joining us, that's an overview of what we've done so far. Okay, so remember, everything is in the Google Classroom, so you don't need to stress yourself. You can always watch the past sessions there as well. Okay, so we're heading into today's session, and today's session is ideation. Okay, today's session is on ideation. Okay. Oh, sorry, just give me a minute. Okay. Okay. Can you guys see the screen? Okay, so are we ready for today's class? Yeah. Okay. So, ideation, and we'll talk on sketching and wireframing as well. So we'll talk on the ideation process. We'll talk on sketching and wireframing, and we'll talk on their tools, what they are, and their benefits. Okay. I think we've already spent so much time. Okay. So ideation, quickly. So ideation is usually the process, where you generate ideas, and solutions through sessions. Okay, you create sessions where you can sketch, you can brainstorm, you can do things like brainwriting. We'll talk on all these things. Create what's possible ideas. And there are a lot of ideation techniques. We'll talk on them as well. So it's majorly the process where you generate ideas. Okay, so it's majorly like that session where you come together with people. That's why I said last week that this is a session that is usually done, better with people around. Okay, but because of COVID, you can't do that. But just to get the basic picture of everything, it's about you generating ideas alongside others. Okay, you can do it on your own. There's a technique where you can generate ideas on your own. Okay, I think is it brainwriting? I think that's brainwriting. Okay, where you can do things on your own. But ideation, the power of ideation is in the crowd. Okay? The power of ideation is in the group. Okay? That's majorly where the power is. Okay, so ideation is often the most exciting stage in a design thinking project. Okay? Because during ideation, the aim is for you to generate a large quantity of ideas. Okay, that your team can then filter and cut down to the best practical ones. Okay, so it's more or less where everyone comes in and everyone is just spitting out what is in their head. Okay, without fear of the ideas being rejected. Okay, so ideation is, we've researched, we've gotten all this based on this, we've done our user journey. Okay, based on this, we have done this persona. Okay, so everything is laid out. In most cases, it's on a very wide whiteboard, and then you are seeing all the personas, you are seeing all the sticky notes, you are seeing all of that. So ideation is everyone now sitting together and now discussing on ideas. Okay, so according to, I think, NM Group, ideation is the mode of the design process in which you concentrate on idea generation. Okay, mentally, it represents a process of going wide in terms of concepts and outcomes. Okay, so there's no limit. Okay, your imagination is the only limit in ideation. Okay, nobody cares if the idea may not work. We are just putting it out there because when you put it out there, multiple people can look at it and they can now drill down and weed out things that can be a hindrance and go down to what is actually important. Okay, so what are the benefits of ideation? So ideation generally helps us to ask the right questions. Okay, and innovate with a strong focus on your users. Okay, their needs and your insights about them. Okay, because now you've gotten your personas, you've gotten your user journey and the likes. Okay, now maybe your persona is showing that these people who use your products majorly, or let's say one person now, maybe her name is Alice, for example. She's a teenager and maybe she's colorblind. Okay, you know, you are representing her as one entity for the entire group of people who are colorblind. Okay, so when you are ideating, one of the things questions you can ask is, oh, what are we going to do with people who are colorblind? You get, okay? And you hear things like, oh, we need to use an accessibility color palette, for example. I think we'll talk on accessibility later on. So, those are things you can, use ideation for. The second thing benefit is that it helps you step beyond the obvious solution, okay? And therefore increase the innovation potential of your solution, okay? So this is majorly you now in most cases you would have a product that is already existing. Okay, in most cases, not all cases. Okay, but in most cases, why we do UI UX is to improve products. Okay, there are very few cases where you have new products. Okay, and those new products, you have to come up with ideas, fresh new ideas, and then later on this process will kick in where you go beyond obvious solutions. Okay, so stepping beyond obvious solutions is you already see how things already work. You already know how things already work, but you don't want to be like others, okay? You don't want to be, lumped in with the other products who look the same way, who behave the same way, or who act the same way. Okay, which is one of the reasons why you see similar social media products, and then you have ones you prefer because of the fact that it just looks different. Okay, because they took a different approach. Okay, so that is ideation. It helps you to look at it and be like, oh, everyone is doing this. Okay, let's try something else. Let's try this. Let's try that. Because at the end of the day, you know, you are not, you are not focusing on idea. Okay, you are bringing in multiple ideas, and it's towards the end you will flesh out all those ideas and now know these are the ones we are sticking with. Okay, so the third benefit is that it brings together perspectives and strengths on your team members. So it helps you to like uncover unexpected areas of innovation. Okay, people just think. Okay, nobody's going to laugh at you during an ideation session. Okay, people will laugh at you sometimes because the idea might seem outrageous, but it's a very fun session. I wish we could do this live, but here you uncover new areas of innovation. So a very common example is one of the Facebook ideation sessions. Okay, where we talked about improving the like button. Okay, common example would have been, oh, put this like there, put the other ones alongside it, and push everything down. Okay, but when you don't want to use the like button, what other things can you represent? Okay, you don't want to be like Twitter. We don't want the heart and the like, or heart and maybe a retweet. So they went on to come up with those floating emotion emoticons. Okay, when you hover on the like button and then you see those other elements. Those are products of ideation sessions. Okay, you just think out of the box. Okay, and you spit it out. The idea of it is everyone there will look at it and everyone will try to understand what you are trying to say, which is where we'll come into sketching and wireframing. Okay. So it helps you to also create volume and variety in your innovation options. Okay? So because everyone is spitting out ideas, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of stuff on the table. Okay. So you are not limited to one person's way of thinking. Okay. Because when you ideate and you're doing it alone, you're limited to your own level of thinking or what you feel or what you perceive should be it. But during ideation sessions, everyone is together, everyone is talking, everyone is pouring out ideas. So you have so much ideas, so many different options to pick from. Okay. So the last but not least, it gets obvious solutions out of your heads and drives your team beyond them. Okay. So like we said, anything that is already an obvious solution, anything that already exists, that's you already know, oh, this is it. We don't need to think too much about this particular part or this particular flow. You this that. Okay. It's maybe when you're coming up with an onboarding flow, for example, you're like, oh, we need something unique. We want a unique flow. Okay. Our product is for old people. How do we give them a unique flow? Okay, a unique onboarding flow. Okay, an old person, should the person be registering with social media?
I want to do this thing, but I want to use my
So
laptop now. Would it take time?
all these different, ideas can only be brought about ideation. Okay, because ideation is more or less everyone just sitting together and spitting out things. Okay, so there's a very popular ideation thing called the design sprints, okay, where everyone will come in and then it's a technique and everyone would say it will be handed out sheets and then they'll be told to draw what they feel something should look like, or everyone should talk about, what they feel should, the product should behave like. So it's better as a group thing, okay, but it's still something you can do on your own, but you are not harnessing the full power because you're on your own, okay, but that's basically the benefits of ideation. So why do we need ideation? Okay, why do we need ideation? Sorry. So ideation sessions are about finding new angles. Okay, that's majorly one of the reasons why we need it. Okay, yeah, you've seen your product, you've seen you know what the problem is, but everyone has a different way of perceiving things. Everyone has a different thin line. Also relates to products as well. These products have light in them, because it's individuals or people that will use this product. It's individuals or people that will use these products. So at the end of the day, ideation helps you to find those different angles, new angles, that people are viewing things from. Okay. There's a popular image that I think everyone sees where there's a 6 and a 9, and from one person's angle is 6 and from another person's angle it's 9. Okay, this is ideation. Okay, everyone has a different way of viewing something, so it's more or less you now bringing everyone together, bringing everyone to state what they feel should be it. And in the long run, when you do multiple ideation sessions, you get to discover that to a large extent people think almost the same way. It's just that the way of representing some of it might be different. So it's now where you would now take those ideas or those views, point of views, okay, and now streamline it to a way that okay, everyone's idea is lined up towards the same goal. So it's more or less a challenging thing, okay. Because ideation sessions, take time, okay. Not necessarily. There are other aspects, there are other techniques where they will have like design sprints are maybe 2-3 minute sessions. There are some that will require every single person to be there. And it's always important to involve stakeholders in your ideation sessions. Now, not all the stakeholders now. So if you're involving stakeholders, you'll be involving developers, for example. You'll be involving UX guys, okay? So fellow UX people. You'll be involving the client, okay? Now, it's very important to involve the client. Why? A lot of clients already have some sort of expectation, already have some sort of image in their head, okay, which is why ideation also helps, okay. This is one rule designers don't like to agree with, but you don't have a choice with. Your employer or your client, okay, has business goals. So in the long run, business goals sort of overshadow the user's goal. Okay, that's why I say when you get into the field, some of these things, some of these rules, you will break them. Okay, because the business goals at the end of the day might be to bring in profits, to bring in more users. The goal might be, oh, we want more people to go to our about page. Okay, so you have to redesign your homepage in a way that people can go to the about page. So those are things you get to find out during the ideation session. Okay, because think of it as a cheeky way of getting clients to tell you how they want the product to look like. Okay. Okay, not entirely how it will look like, but what picture they already that they already have in their heads, sort of. But if it's a completely unique product, something that the client has complete trust in you for, you go for what is expected. You go for what the user will pay. Okay. So those are people who can take part in an ideation sessions. So what are some of the characteristics that you require for a successful ideation session? Okay. So these are the characteristics. The first one is adapting. Okay, you should be able to switch how you see, how you understand, and how you think. Okay, because in ideation sessions there are multiple characters. Okay, the way you think has to adapt. The way you understand things has to adapt. You should be open-minded. That's just it. Okay, don't take someone's idea and be like start laughing at it. No, it's fine. There are some ideas that are crazy, but you should adapt to whatever situation comes, whatever idea comes. No idea is useless because when a person is given the opportunity to explain more about why they are thinking that way, you tend to understand that, oh, okay, it actually makes sense. Okay. So the second characteristic is connecting. You should be able to connect, more or less concepts that are not related, or attributes or themes that are not related in order to create new possibilities.
Andy, how are you?
Think of it as like someone comes up with one crazy idea. Okay, let me look for a good example. Okay, let me use Uber again. Okay, someone comes up with an idea that they want to tip a driver, for example, on Uber. Okay, and he says that there should be like a way for you to, get the driver's account number and blah blah blah. Okay, that is a person's way of thinking. I'm using it an example that would trip you off now. That's why I'm saying account number. Okay. So you as maybe the ideation modulator now will be like, oh, wonderful idea. Okay. And then you pin it on the board and you pin it as, oh, tip driver. Okay. You throw it out to everyone and be like, okay, let's look for other possible ways we can tip a driver. Okay. So you should be able to have a way of connecting things, that are out of context and bring them into the application. Okay, so a good example will now be like, oh, we want to tip drivers. When drivers sign up to their app, they can say, oh, I accept tips, and then they provide their account number. Okay, And then when a user clicks tip driver, all they ask the user is how much do you want to tip the driver? And the user puts the amount and it gets debited from his bank. So that's a way of now taking that person's idea that is not, that was good, okay, not solid, but good, and then making it better, okay. So there are always things that you can improve during ideation sessions. It's not about you writing things off entirely, okay. So the third characteristic is disrupting, okay. So disrupting simply means you being able to overturn conventional thinking or conventional approaches, okay. So you hear things like people say your user flow should not be more than 5, okay. Airbnb did this, okay. Airbnb disrupted that flow. They were like, no, as much info as we need, we'll take the user across that screen. All you have to do is to make it, presentable. Okay. So you hear people say things like, you should only use one color. Okay. Ideation is more or less about you disrupting some of these myths. Okay. When we get to UI principles, you hear some of these myths. Okay. And it's it's more or less looking at things that people have been, that feel to be what it should be. Okay. It's more or less like, oh, this is how everything should look like. This is how everything should operate. This is how everything should work. And you looking at it and be like, no, no, we're changing this paradigm. We're changing how this should feel like, because you are creating an experience for a user. Okay. It's more or less how banks were in Nigeria for a while. And then we had banks like GT come in, and then they changed a lot of things, and we started seeing other banks picking up on it. So they are disrupting some things. Okay, I think you'll never see a GT bank building that looks the same. Okay, that's disruption. Okay, so flipping, is more or less you turning dead ends or deadlocks into opportunities, okay? By rapidly changing the direction towards what it would be like. Okay. So dead ends will be points where you feel okay, everyone has gone to, or everyone's application has gone to, and there's nothing else. Okay. So take for example the settings menu on an app. Okay. Many people just lump things there. They just line up things there, in this, top to bottom layout. Okay, I think I'm trying to know. Okay, let's even use Duolingo. Okay, yeah, Duolingo is an app for learning languages. Okay, and Duolingo does things in a very exciting way. When you want to sign up, it's not put your Google account. When you want to sign up, the first thing they ask you is, what language do you want to learn? That's flipping. Okay. They've changed things like, oh, everyone expects when I click sign up, the next thing is email, password. Okay. Duolingo says, what language do you want to learn? Okay. What's your current level in this language? Blah, 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 blah. And then they give you some words in the language, and then you sign up. Okay. So they've turned something that has become a norm to something different, to create this exciting experience for a user. Okay. So another characteristic is that you should be able to dream and imagine. Okay. So don't limit yourself. Okay. It's more or less you thinking out of the box entirely. So it's not, oh, because we're creating this kind of application, it must be this kind of way. No, ideation is about you brainstorming and thinking of crazy things. Okay. At the end of the day, you consolidate for it and pick what is most important and what is right or fitting. Okay. So you should be experimental. Okay. Be open. You have to be open. You have to be curious enough to explore, possibilities. You even have to take risks. Okay. You know, for example, some example of guys that take risk a lot, and Netflix. Netflix takes a lot of risk with their designs, okay? And they're always switching it up, always experiment, okay? If it doesn't do well, you pull it down, that's ideation. Don't be scared, okay? Then you need to recognize patterns, you know. So when you spot patterns, particular things, that you know, users recognize and all. Okay, when you ideate, you should always know, oh, there are certain things that will never change. Okay, like input fields. You know, the input. When we talk about designing for mobile and web, you hear things like not redesigning things like a keyboard, for example. Okay, those are patterns you need to recognize. So when you are doing ideation sessions, when things like that come up, you should already know, oh, this is a no-go area, for example. People who use iPhones already have a particular layout for selecting drop downs. Okay, those are things you don't need to redesign. Sort of, that's more or less recognizing patterns during ideation. Because during ideation, you hear people who say things like, and why not change the way they will select this, or why not change the way they would use the keyboard, or change the keyboard itself. So you should always recognize those patterns. Then last but not least, curiosity. Please charge. Oh, sorry. So last but not least is curiosity. Okay, you have to be willing to ask uncomfortable, silly, and crazy questions. Okay, so I think that's where we have the how might we's. There's an article that talks extensively on how might we's, but how might we's works well for teams, which is why I did not introduce it here, because it's more or less another complex, not really complex, it's another extended phase of ideation. Okay, where you ask questions of how might we do this, how might we do that, how might we, you know, but it requires having your client available. It requires having the entire UX team available. It requires developers being available. Okay, but curiosity is more or less you asking crazy questions, silly questions. Okay, so when ideating or creating a product, you might be asking things like, oh, okay, now that we've done the home screen, okay, how would the user get to the other screen? Okay, it's a silly question. I mean, it's a very silly question, but it opens opportunities, to how, the app will be envisioned. Okay, so it will be like, oh, do they use animations to, like, when I click, will it roll, will it spin, will it do this, will it do that? You're expecting something, you want, to get more info, okay, on how the entire thing will work, or how the entire flow would work. So ideation is more or less concerned with the individual flows, okay. That's why we said you have to list out those flows. So when you are doing ideation, your first ideation session might be the onboarding flow. The second ideation session might be the sign-up flow. Okay, all those things you know, come in order. That's why we talked about flows last week. Okay, so generally, it's not about coming up with the right idea. Okay, it's about generating the broadest range of possibilities. Okay, so ideation, you're not coming up with the right thing. You're just coming up with possibilities, and at the end, you now select from those possibilities what you people feel. Okay, is the actual way to go about things. And remember, it's a repeated process. So you have those materials, you have those stickies, you have those ideas. So if anything goes wrong and you felt, oh, this idea might have been better than this, you can always go back, pick that one and implement that new idea. Okay. So what are the ideation techniques? So there are a lot. These ones are not even all, but these are the major ones you will most likely be interacting with. But there are a lot of ideation techniques. So brainstorming is where you build good ideas, from each other's wild ideas. Okay, so everyone just comes together and everyone is spitting out what they feel it should be like. Okay, that's brainstorming. And at the end of the day, you say, okay, let's gather the best ideas and let's run with it. Okay. Oh, I think I included brainstorming twice. Sorry. Okay, there's body storming. Sorry. Yeah, so many terms, so many terms. Okay, so there's brain dumping. Okay, so brain dumping is more or less like brainstorming. Okay, but everyone does it individually. Okay, so brainstorming is everyone is talking, everyone is talking, everyone is, but brain dumping is now, everybody is given the opportunity to talk extensively. Okay, on what they feel should be the best option, or what they feel should be the best way to go around maybe a flow. Okay. Then brain writing is like brainstorming, but everybody writes down, okay, their ideas. Okay. So everyone writes it down, and then everyone, now gets up and maybe presents it one by one or something. So this way you are preventing what we call groupthink. Okay, groupthink is when groupthink happens a lot in brainstorming. Okay, it happens a lot in brainstorming. It happens a lot in brain dumping. Because one guy might have this very convincing demeanor, and the way he speaks, is so eloquent and all, and everybody's like, yes, this guy knows what he's saying. So everyone follows, that way of thinking. Okay. So we use brainwriting to prevent that, because everyone is quiet and everyone is writing down what they feel the best solution should be. So no one's idea is maybe, lording over the other person's own. So we have brain working. These are wonderful terms. So we have brain working, and it's like brain writing, okay? You know, but everyone walks up and adds to the ideas on the board. So that's why I said it's more or less a physical session. So you have a board, and then you would say, A, come up and tell us what what solution you have in mind. So he would walk up to the board and write and explain. Okay, that's what we call brain working. Okay, it's like brain writing, but everybody gets to come up and explain extensively what they feel it is. They can draw sketches, they can write words, they can even use stickies or whatever. So we have worst possible idea. So so it's another technique where you can now, you know, how it starts is just after everyone has done brainstorming and all, you can just come up with, okay, what's the worst possible idea that you have in your head? Okay, that's when you start hearing some outrageous things. Okay, so it's, I would even argue that it's from the worst possible ideas we got things like self-lacing shoes. Okay, because people just will just think of things that are not existing, or things that are outrageous, and just pour it out there. Okay, that's what's possible ideas, and sometimes beautiful things come out of it. So we have challenging assumptions. Okay, so here it's more or less overturning established beliefs about problems. Okay, we've talked about this in previous slides. Okay, so it's more or less you coming up and be like, oh, okay, this is how Google is doing it. So this is how Apple is doing it. How are we going to do it? Okay, we don't want to do it like Google. We don't want to do it like Apple. Okay, how are we going to do it? So this is where challenging assumptions comes in. Okay, so people already feel this is how it should be. So you create that session where everyone expects it to be this way, but we want it to be different. Okay, people now come up with other ideas. There's a very popular typeface, Helvetica. Okay, Helvetica is a very popular typeface, and then someone just went ahead and did a remix of Helvetica and called it Helvetica Neue. Okay, and all they did was it took the squared angles and rounded them out, and that was all. Okay, so it just challenged the assumption of it being a blocky font. Okay, and rounded it out, and that was it. And the font is in use now. Okay, so it's it might just be slight changes that you would make, but it's more or less you looking at how people are doing it and be like, okay, we can do it this way, but we want it to be better. Okay, so we have mind mapping. So it's more or less where you use graphical techniques to connect ideas to problems, major problems, or minor problems. Okay, so mind mapping might be more or less you drawing out a scenario, okay, or sketching out something, okay, to now state, oh, this is the kind of situation a person will be in. Okay, so sometimes people go ahead and use glue and use paper, and they plan out the whole thing. It's a very fun session. It's a very wide session. Okay, wide area of UX. Because there's no size fits all. Some products will require a lot of techniques. Some products may just require one or two. Okay. Then we have sketching and sketch storming. Okay. So you use rough sketch diagrams to express ideas. Okay. So you tell everyone, okay, that's the design sprint session. Oh, everyone take a sheet of paper, draw out what the homepage should look like. Okay. So everyone draws it out and everyone presents how they feel the homepage should look like. So we have body storming, where you use role playing, okay, for maybe customer journey or steps to find solutions, okay. So this is much more advanced in the sense of user experience. So body storming will work for maybe when you're doing user experience for customer reps, or when you're doing UX trainings for UX experiments, sort of. So it's you playing, and doing a role play, okay? So you expect the user to require something from you. So let's say you have a customer rep and you have a user, and then you use body storming to come up with ideas. So the user walks up to the customer rep and says, "Good afternoon," and then you play the role of the customer rep, and you're like, "Oh, how are you today?" Blah 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 blah. Okay, so you're more or less coming up with ideas or catchy phrases that you can use to train customer reps to provide better user experience. Okay, that's one example. Okay, of body storming. It's more or less role playing. To better depict that situation a user will be in. Okay. So analogies is the next one. This is where you draw comparisons to communicate ideas better. Okay. So you already have one idea, okay, and then you bring up another idea and you be like, oh, this idea does this well, but this is what our idea is doing, and this is what it is changing from here, this is what it is taking from here, this is what is improving. Okay. That's basically analogies, and it plays off of already existing products. Okay, so we have provocation. Wow, there are lots of techniques. Okay, so you can use provocation in a way. Okay, so provocation is more or less looking at the product and saying, this is this is you know how will I put this now? Okay, this is not our standard, sort of. Okay, and you are you say there are two ways around provocation. Okay, so the first way around provocation is looking at the product in a way that it's a glorious thing. Okay, and you're like, wow, this is wonderful, we need to do better than this. Okay, so that is one way of using provocation. Okay, so where you bring out a product that's already existing, place it on the board, and you're like, okay, guys, this is the aim. Okay, we don't want it to look like this, we want it to be better. Okay, the second way around provocation is now taking those products, okay, and now requiring users to look deeply into those products, and come up with things, elements from those products, and to more or less take it a step further. Okay, then we have movement. uh, Okay, so movement is mostly what we where we use the what if. Okay, the what if approach. Okay, so we are more or less asking what if questions. Okay, so we are like, okay, what if the user doesn't need to sign up? Okay, what if the user only needs to use social login? Okay, what if this? What if that? Okay, so we do this, okay, to overcome obstacles within ideation. Okay, so most times we use it to achieve reliable outcomes, because at the end of the day, if a user comes in, we don't want them to struggle to get to what they want. Okay, that's why we use movement. So think of movement as a way of fighting for the user's rights. Okay. Okay, so we have crowdstorming. So crowdstorming is your target, in where your target audience generates and validates ideas. Okay, so people who do this a lot are brands, big brands on social media. Okay, so they just throw out things and they're like, "Oh, guys, check this out. What do you think?" Okay, Sometimes they throw out prototypes, live prototypes, and like, oh, check this out. Okay. So it's, asking your own fan base, your own users for ideas. Okay. That's majorly crowdstorming. Okay. So the other methods, we have workshops, we have empathy research, we have game storming. There are a lot. Okay. There are a lot of ideation techniques, but those are about the most important ones you would use. Okay. So now let's talk on sketching briefly. Sketching is more or less straightforward. Sketching and wireframing are straightforward. So sketching is a very, very crucial part of the ideation phase. Okay. Most times people overlook it. Okay. That's sad. Okay. Because it's one of the most overlooked aspects of the design thinking process, because people just jump in and they start drawing and start painting, and but sketching is a very, very important and very, very vital phase. Okay. Sketching is more or less a very efficient way to communicate your designs. Okay. Okay, which allows designers, to try out a multitude of ideas. Okay. Because now paper isn't expensive. Okay. Paper is cheap. Okay. Paper is cheap, pen is cheap. You draw, you paint, you just think of any idea. It doesn't have to even look beautiful. Okay, I think we can see the picture here. It doesn't have to look beautiful. This is sketching. Okay, there's a popular saying that a problem visualized is a problem halved. Okay, you have finished your research, you've gathered all your user journeys, you've done ideation and you've come up with the best possible ideas for your flows. The next thing to do ideally is to sketch. Because when you sketch it, when you are transferring to your design software, it's much more easier, okay? Because it's easy. You just, oh, this is what I sketch, or this is what it should look like. You don't have to think of how you would design it again. Okay. Because when you start designing on the software, you get attached to it, and then even though it's not good, you feel you've done something good. And then you're like, when they now test and they start telling you problems with your design, you are now like, oh my baby, this is my baby. How do I start changing things? So sketching, more or less helps you to generate multitude of ideas before you even start designing. Okay, because you don't want to spend too much time designing it. Okay, you just want to design it once and go and know fully well that okay, you've got the best possible design. Okay, so what are the benefits of sketching? Okay, it helps you visualize your thoughts in an inexpensive manner. Okay, so there's nothing expensive here, just paper, pencil, straightforward. Okay, paper is easy to find, pen is easy to find. You are just putting out your thoughts, and you don't need to spend anything on it. Okay. Number two, it's quick, it is easy, and everyone can see what you mean. Okay. After your ideation sessions, or even during your ideation sessions, because sometimes ideation sessions contain sketching. Okay. You know, you sketch it out and you put it out. Everyone can see it. You don't have to spend 30 minutes opening Figma, opening XD or Sketch, and having to design it, find colors, find this, find that, and then now say, guys, look at it. By then, everyone would have gone home. Okay. So on paper, it's easy for everyone to just see what you mean because you just sketch it out. Okay. And it doesn't have to be beautiful. It's just the idea that matters. Okay, so last but not least, benefit of sketching is that it helps you to develop quick concepts. Okay, so it's rapid. Okay, someone thinks of something and is like, oh, how do we do the onboarding in a way that the user will not do this? Oh, you pull out your paper, you draw on it, and then you draw arrows to relate to them, and then you show everyone this is what I mean. Okay, it's just straightforward. It helps you to just generate quick concepts, and that's about it. So wireframing, okay. So wireframing is more or less a two-dimensional illustration of a page's interface, okay, and it specifically focuses on space allocation and you know how you prioritize content, okay. So it helps you to prioritize content based on intended behavior of the user. Okay. So, for example, you can see a wireframe here now. Okay. So you are just drawing out things, shapes. There's no color. Okay. Why you are doing this is to to create focus, okay, create a space allocation rather, okay, and it helps you to prioritize what is the most important content for that application or for that product, okay, because now if you look at this wireframe here, we have the splash screen, okay. It means, oh, we want something to just be there that would come in, maybe as the logo of the brand or whatever. Then we have the sign up or login screen, we have the home screen, we have the app drawer, so this is just wireframing. You're only showing what is the most important content that the user would interact with without having to design it. So think of wireframing as like the elder brother of sketching. Okay, when you sketch is rough. Okay, wireframing is more or less structured. Okay, looks cleaner. Okay, looks better. Okay, so the benefits of wireframing. Okay, wireframing uh, provides a early visual, okay, that you can show to your clients, okay. So when clients get eager, like, okay, what is it looking like? What is our design looking like? Okay, you can throw out wireframes to them. Okay? When we talk about two types of wireframes and which one is best to throw out to your clients, but users can also, do have early feedback on your wireframes. Okay, that's another benefit because you can show users, oh, this is what the application is looking like now. Okay. And they can tell you things like, oh, is that where a picture will be? Is that where a video? I don't like it there. I don't like it there. Okay. It can also serve as a quick feedback for you. Okay. Wireframes also help you ensure that page contents and functions are positioned well. Okay, it helps you to know, oh, okay, the spacing between your text and your image is accurate. It helps you know, okay, everything is well aligned and all. Okay, that's another benefit of wireframing. Okay, so it also helps you to more or less, create accurate information. So now you've done your field architecture, you know how everything should look like, you know. So with wireframing, you can actually visualize whether your information architecture is actually working out for you or not. You know, so that's another benefit of it. So it also helps you to determine intended functionality in your interface. Okay, if we go back to our wireframe, okay, if you see the first screen on the left, we can see, oh, this is a splash screen. So we can determine what functionality we want. Do we want emotion there? Do we want it, like an animation there? Okay, so the wireframe helps you to think of those things even before you start going to the final design stage of it. So what is the other disadvantage? So I won't say it's really a big disadvantage, but because wireframes do not include any design, or you know, technical implication, it's not always easy for clients to understand the concept, okay? Because they look at it and they're like, it's just text and empty boxes, okay? That's more or less the only disadvantage. So uh, that's why we ended up creating things like the two types of wireframes, okay, which we'll soon talk about. But the only disadvantage is that people don't really get to understand it fully because there's no content accompanying the wireframe. So when creating wireframes, there are three things to note or to have in mind. One, no images, okay? We don't use images in wireframes because when you start bringing in images, it's already a design, okay? Two, no color, okay? No color doesn't mean it should be transparent. We mean just use a grayscale color, okay? A, most wireframes are perfectly fine in gray, okay? So we use grays for wireframes and only one font, okay? There's no need to get fancy, it's just one font, okay? And those are the three major rules you should abide by, when you are, creating wireframes. So there are popular elements you can find in wireframes. Okay, so popular elements will include things like maybe logos, search field, breadcrumbs. You get to understand this. Headers. We have navigation systems. Body content, buttons, footers, contact info. Those are basic things you will always find in a wireframe. Okay. So what are the wireframe types? So we have the first one, which is low fidelity. Okay, so low fidelity wireframes majorly help, facilitate project teams, okay, or developers, okay. So you would use this mostly in the ideation sessions, okay. You will use this mostly when you are coming up with, you have finished coming up with your sketching, and then you want something that you can show developers, and they will look at and they will be, oh, wonderful, wonderful. I understand this, because you are speaking more or less the developer's language with low fidelity wireframes, because they tend to understand this better, okay. Then we have high fidelity wireframes. So high fidelity wireframes can now come in with some bit of color, okay? But if you notice, it's not more than one or two colors, okay? There's still no text, there's still no pictures, there's still no videos and all, But this, has original copy. Low fidelity wireframes will just have placeholder text, like Lorem Ipsum and the rest, okay? But high fidelity wireframes would come in when you have perfect copy. Maybe your content strategist has created copy for you, and all of that. So you're bringing all those things together, but you've not yet brought in images, you've not yet brought in maybe icons, you've not yet brought in some other things. And most likely it's not your final color, palette that you're using. Okay. So high fidelity wireframes tend to, look better to clients, which was why, we made them or we have them. So sketching tools. So yeah, it's just pen and paper. Okay, it's just pen and paper. You just need pen and paper to sketch. There's no special tool required for that. Okay, so you can decide to be creative. You can use colored pencils and the likes. You can show off your skills if you draw very well. But you don't need to draw very well to know how to do UI UX design. Okay, so it's just pen and paper for sketching. Okay, remember, sketching is just for you to quickly put out the idea on paper, and for you to validate it, everyone can see it, because if they see it and they're like, no, 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 I don't think the button works there, you have saved yourself the stress of designing it in Figma or XD, and then, them coming to tell you, oh, I don't think the button will work there, okay? So wireframing tools. So like I said in the last few sessions, some top UX guys just use the office suite and they're okay. Okay. So you can use the office suite, you can use PowerPoint for your wireframes. It still works. Okay. You can use Publisher. Okay. Publisher is more extensive. Okay. I don't know if they still support Publisher. I'm not sure. Then we have a Balsacmin wireframes. Okay. This is like one of the industry standards, but it's paid. Okay. Think they have a free 30-day trial, but it's a nice piece of software. It's not really software. Okay, they have an offline version, okay, but it's paid. Okay. One of my personal favorites is still wireframe.cc. It's free. You can draw wireframes on it. Okay, it's a very, very wonderful website. Okay. So here you can just draw wireframes. It's just you dragging shapes, putting copy, and that's the end. Okay. But it's much more structured. Okay. You can also use Figma, XD, or Sketch. Okay. So at the end of the day, once you get the hang of one design software, okay, many of these things we are doing, like information architecture and the likes, you can pull them off in that program. Okay, because it becomes easier for you to use that program. So you find a lot of these guys who now know how to use design software to do virtually everything in that software. Okay, but don't worry, we'll get there. Okay, so I've come to the end, and these are your assignments. Okay, so the first one is for you to create a sketch of your product based on your user journey and flow that you crafted the last week. Okay, that was your last assignment. So after you've done your journey and your flow, just draw sketches. Okay, your flow sketches. Okay, so maybe your product is a store. Okay, what is sketch for the home page? Okay, what is the sketch for when a person clicks an item? What is the sketch for the checkout? The sketches for the checkout process or the checkout flow. It doesn't have to be extensive. Okay, you know, but just draw out your sketches. After you've drawn your sketches, you can now convert them to wireframes. Okay, this will be fun because it's more or less you are just starting the designing process. Okay, because now you draw it. Okay, then now you go to this wireframing tool like Publisher or PowerPoint or wireframe, wireframe.cc, and then you can now do the wireframe. Remember, wireframe doesn't contain pictures, okay? And it's not necessary for you to do high fidelity wireframes, because high fidelity wireframes can only be done in the design software, okay? So you can always do the low fidelity wireframe and you should be fine, okay? So I think that's about the end of today's class, okay? Uh, so I think we can, yeah, you can ask questions, okay? I think you can ask questions now.
Is your file in there? Well, no,
Do you have questions?
Oh, if that is corrupted before my file enters, your file is really fine.
Okay. So do we have okay, taking to master edition process in preparation before. Okay, okay. So Sean says, what are the steps taken to master ideation? And the process that involves in preparation before. Okay. They are not okay. Generally, the steps would involve you already taking your research, getting the info from your research, and then bringing out your journeys, your maps, and your information architecture. So remember, I said you would have laid it out on the board. So it's more or less you now saying, oh, we've done the research. This is what it looks like. Okay. This is what the flows look like. Okay. Because remember, we said you can have multiple flows in your project, your product. Okay. And then we can now have information architecture. So he will now take it step by step. He won't necessarily use the journey, okay? Your ideation will be working really on your flows, okay? So you will be doing things like, okay, this is the first flow. First flow is the onboarding flow. Everyone, let's brainstorm on this. Then you pick a technique, okay? You can decide that everyone does brainstorming. You can say everyone does brainwriting. Maybe you discover that people are thinking the same way. You can decide to go with brainwriting. You can ask them to sketch it out. So you do that for every single flow, maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes per flow, and that's majorly how you do ideation processes. But you have to pick the technique. Uh, but you have to pick the technique that works for that product. So any other questions? Okay, so the the link to the group chat is already in the chat room here. So you can, for those who are not on the group chat, you can join via that link. And remember, the resources are already on the Google Class. So before the end of today's session will also be live on YouTube. Then you can always rewatch. Okay. So in the absence of any question, I think we can end the session. If you have questions later on, you can always ask on the group chat. And be able to answer them. Okay. So for the new, what do we call them? Do we call them converts or new members? Welcome again. Okay. And don't look at it that we've done videos are there. Okay. Don't stress yourself too much. Just take it easy. Videos are there. Watch the videos, read the resources, do the assignments at your own pace. Don't try to rush too much as well. And remember, any questions you have, just ask on the. Okay. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay.